Welcome to the Blue Collar Startup, the podcast where hard work meets big ideas. This is your home for real talk, real stories, and real strategies from the front lines of life and the business of the trades. I'm one of your hosts, Mike Nelson from Five Towers Media.
And I'm your co-host, Derek Foster, Dago Cleaning Systems. How we doing, Mike?
I'm doing good. Sun shining, rain stops. No complaints. How about you?
I'm doing well, man. It's been a great week. I've actually been out in the field here a few days, covering and running a boom lift. So getting away from the office for a little bit is not a bad thing, and having a lot of fun out here. So working with the guys and having a good time.
Real quick, do you prefer being back out in the field versus being stuck in the office all day, every day?
I love it, but I don't think these guys could deal with me being out here every day. I had, and our team is great, but we started early yesterday, and I mean we were rolling till about 5:30 last night, 6 o'clock, just to stay on track and keep the schedule because we lost a day. The lift company forgot to deliver our lift the first day, so you know how it goes. You make it work and troubleshoot as you go. So we made up a day's worth of work yesterday. So
Nice. Never a dull moment.
no, man.
Dull moment.
How about in your world? How's things?
Things are, same thing I've been saying for the last couple of months here. Everything's moving pretty quickly and changing pretty quickly with all the AI changes. I think since we last recorded, Google had their big announcement about how they're changing their whole way they do search, which of course is, Google is just under 90% of the search market. So it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild watching how rapidly the answer engine / LLM / AI thing is disrupting consumer behavior. I mean, it is. I was laughing last night because I needed to source a instant hot water tank for our camp, and I never left my AI. Like I had a conversation like, here's the parameters of what I'm looking for. Can you search and find it? Came up with an option. I'm like, are there better options, or is that the one I should go? And a couple follow-up questions, and it was like, nope. I'm like, give me a link to Amazon. It gave me a link to Amazon. I bought the damn thing, and instead of
Wild.
the traditional 45 minutes of research I would have done on Google, it was literally like, it was less than 5. It might have been like 2 minutes with Claude. So that's a consumer pattern that is being seen more and more and more and more, and not just in products, but across every vertical, whether it's services. So pretty wild. A lot of crazy haps going on.
Yeah, it's very interesting time.
Yeah, it sure is. So let's get to our guest here, man. Tom, Tom from AstroWatt. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself here. Tell us who you are and give us a little bit about AstroWatt.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And it's funny hearing your guys' story about the AI stuff and going back in the field. This is my first time in years. I've been in the field the last 3 days, and I kind of love it again. And I miss it. It's not, the office is not for me. All day, every day kind of thing.
I'm
But
with you, brother.
yeah, so I own AstroWatt Electric here in Apex, North Carolina. We are a residential electrical service company only. Been in business since 2018. Started out as a same ownership business. Started actually as a company called Alternate Current Solutions. My wife thought it was horrible, hated the name, and when we started at the time, we did a little bit of everything. So all residential, or I'm sorry, all electrical, but we did residential, commercial, remodels, new constructions. And as we decided to go strictly service route, we rebranded, hired a company in New Jersey called Kit Charge Creative. They rebranded us AstroWatt. We went live with that in January of 2023. So almost 3.5 years now. But fun, like family owned business. So, my wife and our kids are here all the time. We've got about 13 full-time team members here. And that's what we do. If you want to add something, fix something, look at, making changes in your house, that's what we can do. We don't work with contractors. We don't work with realtors, builders, none of that kind of stuff, just direct between us and homeowners. We service a relatively large area, but, it's a really awesome team we have here. A lot of, we've had some guys that have been with us for 6 years, 5 years, 4 years. So, it's nice. Really cool team. And, I've been doing electrical work for 20 plus years, and, it's, it's all I know, when it comes down to, what the home service is, and I love the home services. So I appreciate you guys having me on here today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Goodness. How did you get into electrical work, Tom? What's your background and how did you land there?
Yeah. So, growing up, I always knew I wanted to do something more with like hands-on. My dad's side of the family is, opposite of hands-on, more like IT corporate. My mom's side of the family is more like hands-on. Like my grandfather and uncle always like be building a car in their garage at any given time and working on things themselves. And I tend to, lean that way, like go work with them, help them, and have a lot more fun doing that. When I was graduating college or high school, my parents were like, "What are you going to do?" And I was like, I don't know. And they're like, "Well, you're going to go to college. That's what we do." And I was like, "I don't want to go to college." After 2 years of going to college, and my dad talks about it being the most expensive party he's ever paid for. I left college. We had a family friend that owned an electrical company at the time up in Pennsylvania. He was like, "Hey, if you want to come work for me for the summer, just work in the warehouse, see what you think of it." 22 years later, here we are.
Very
So,
cool.
which is awesome. And I've been in the electrical trade ever since, right? And that was a huge company in PA. I thought it was just going to be a part-time summer job, and, just kind of worked my way up, got into the field, and, and kind of, I've done it all: residential, commercial, some industrial stuff, and everything from being an apprentice to being in the field to, service managers and general managers at other locations, and even tried, business partner stuff with other people in the past. And then, it was, I was working in 2018. I was working at another company, and that was when I decided to leave and start AstroWatt. Well, at the time, alternate current solutions. So yeah, going on almost 8 years now.
Very nice. So you took the route of earn while you learn and came through and did your apprenticeship with those guys and and learned on the job as you went through.
I did. Yep. So I did, like, it's, down in North Carolina, we really don't have a lot of apprenticeship things in place, which is kind of disappointing, like structured ones at least. The company I was working for in Pennsylvania had one, right? And it was a 3-year apprenticeship. You work all day, and then you go to school at night, like 2 or 3 nights a week from like 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I learned a ton, right? And that was my thing. Like I loved hands-on training. I loved like being out there in the field, and then, just kind of worked my way up and kept, different companies and different roles, and, identifying what it was. And quickly, like I'm a much more like social person, and, love connecting with people. So quickly realized like commercial was not the industry I wanted to be in. You're just a number, you're a laborer in that industry. So kind of started leaning more towards the residential side. And just kind of stuck with it. And, I never really thought I was going to start my own business. But I'd been doing it up until 2018. So like 13, 14 years. And I told my wife, I'm like, every company is the same. They don't care about people. They just care about the numbers. They don't, I joke that like in 13 or 14 years of doing it, I never once had like a beer or went to lunch with anyone I ever worked with. And I was like, I was like, I want to go do something that's like totally different. So when I started this thing, it was all about like, our very first person we hired, like we paid 100% of their like full health insurance and everything. And we still do that for all of our employees. And like the very beginning, like everyone I talk, they're like, "Dude, you're nuts." And I'm like, "Yeah, but that's what I want to do. Like, that's what I want to create. I want to create this culture that is all about, growth and learning and having fun, but also like taking care of people and making sure that like they're way more understood, that like their life, their family, their friend is way more important than what we're doing. We're just the platform to allow them to continue to do all that stuff."
I love that, man. And was that the catalyst for you deciding to leave the job you're in and go out on your own? Was the fact that you really were not a person? It was, you're just a guy that showed up and did the work and then left.
Yeah, kind of. So, the last job I was in, I was kind of like running the whole entire service department for them. And when I took the job, I said to my wife, I'm like, "Look, maybe this is it. Like good salary, opportunities, decent benefits. It seems like good people. I don't want to like jump around to companies. Like maybe like this is finally like something I found that I thought was going to be awesome. Like let's give it a shot. Let's see how it is." And I'll never forget like day one, I got there and it was almost like, oh shit, Tom started today, right? Like the owner was like, hey, can you do me a favor and just like hang out for a few minutes and then I'll come get you and we'll run to Staples and we'll buy your desk and we'll buy your chair and we'll buy this. And I'm like, God, guys, like, you offered me this job 3 months ago, So, but I was like, all right, I'm going to give it a shot. And I quickly realized, I was there for about a year and a half and I just knew, and I kept sticking it out and sticking it and just told my wife, I'm like, I just see nothing in this. Like, I don't have that drive to want to go in there every day. The guys that work there don't want to either. We're losing people left and right. And I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, I'm going to go try to do this thing on my own. And it was different because when I went that route, I went from like running a service department to like back in a van and crawl spaces and attics, like doing it myself. But I loved doing that as well. When, the guys that I said, the guys that have been here for 6, 4, 5 years all got to work with me in the field for that time too, which was, they're all our top guys and leaders of this company now, which is great. And, sometimes sometimes I'm like, I wish I would get back out into the field more and enjoy that stuff. It's exciting. And I enjoy the coaching and teaching part of it.
Yeah. So when you decided to make that leave, what did that look like for you? Was there a slow transition? Were you kind of doing both at the same time? So you work your job and then do side hustles at night, or?
Yeah, it was like a very slow transition. So it was kind of like side hustles, right? I've already been licensed and all that kind of stuff. Started my own business like on the back end, wasn't competing with the company we were with at all. And had a few contractors that I knew that we were doing like kitchens and bathrooms, and I'd be helping them like after work, or I had guys that were like contract work doing it for me. And then, yeah, I mean, it was, funny story, but I'm not the most tech savvy person. And I went and created my resignation letter, saved it to my Google Drive. And the vice president called me and she's like, Tom, what'd you just do? I'm like, what? And she's like, you just saved your resignation letter to like the company-wide Google Drive. And I was like, oh, I was like, no. And she was like, look, I deleted it quickly. When are you looking to do this? And I was like, in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And she's like, I don't think anyone saw it, but she's like, you got to do it today. And I was like, all right, sounds good. Guess I'm doing it today. So, gave my notice, was told like, hey, I don't want you to keep working. Like, he was not happy about it. And when I started my thing for a while, he was not happy about it. But yeah, that's what it was. It was just kind of like, there wasn't a good enough plan. And I'll be honest with you, Michael, like, I wish there was more of one. There wasn't a very good plan other than like, hey, I'm just going to go out there and wing it. Like, there's a bunch of contractors calling me. I know I can do really good electrical work and I can show up when I say I'm going to show up and I can do what I say I'm going to do. Like, let's go do it and see what happens. It's kind of like winging it at first for those like first few months. So I left that, I started the company like in 2018, but didn't leave my other job till April of 2019. I think in 2019, we did like $320,000 in work like that year. So it wasn't anything big by any means. It was just like me trying to do it. I had one helper helping me do stuff. And then 2020, we really started the transition more into like the business side of it and not just like a one-man band type thing.
Yeah. I got to say, I'm a big fan of winging it and,
Yeah.
and just kind of jumping in and letting go of that safety blanket, so to speak. But, I know that the smart play is always to have a nice plan and to, follow the plan. But I'm kind of with you in the mentality that like nothing makes you work harder than the need to work harder, right? Like you get rid of that parachute, you better learn how to fly real quick.
Yeah, you're not kidding. And especially when you got like a wife and kids involved with it too. And you're gonna figure it out pretty quickly.
Yeah, you really got
You learn a lot of things along the way too.
But listen, I mean, first year in business doing a few $100,000 in revenue doesn't sound too bad either, man. It sounds like you were on the hustle pretty well.
We were maybe a little too much, right? Like I definitely had the workaholic lifestyle going on, like weekends and I still do. I struggle with that just like myself, who I am. And I think it's why I'm so like anti that for the team. And it's probably one of my downfalls is I try to protect everybody from any of the struggles that I ever went through, right? I do it with my wife, I do it with my kids, I do it with the team here. Like, we don't, We don't work nights. We don't work weekends. We don't do on call. And I'm okay with all that stuff. But like, I don't even want the guys stuck. Like, they'll hit a bump in the road on a job at 4 or 5 o'clock and need a hand. And I'm just like, all right, I'm coming out there. And we've got plenty of other people that could. And my wife's like, babe, you could come home. You've been gone since 6. I'm like, yeah, but they need help. Like, I got to get out there. I got to do it. And, it's just, I think it's that hustle culture that allowed me to like build what we've been able to build and still build together that like, I don't really have like, I don't have like a second speed. Like, that's what I do, which is fun,
I do know.
And I'll be honest with you, guy, like Derek, I mean, I would so much rather spend 50 hours a week in the field than spend 20 hours a week in the office. Like, and I think my team would probably agree with that too. When I'm in the office, they're like, "Oh shit, Tom's here. What's he get? What's changing today?"
Yep. 100%.
Do you think it goes both ways? Like you go out into the field and your field crews are like, "Oh shit, Tom's here." Then you're at the office and they're like, "Oh shit, Tom's here." It's like
it might, I've told everybody, and I still do on everyone's first day, like, when they're interviewed or not interviewed, but onboarded, in the beginning, it was all me. Now, other people handle the onboarding, but I'll always spend a little bit of time with them. And I always tell them day one, like, never, ever, 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 ever change or feel like you have to react differently when I show up. Like, don't ever do that. I don't ever want you to do that. Like, if you guys are in the back and we got like a big warehouse with ping pong and all these games, you guys are back there screwing around, playing off, and I walk in, like, keep playing and do what you do, right? And I tell them the exact same thing on a job. I think the guys actually, I think it's not just said, I think it's very felt. I think they understand that. Like, they know that if I show up, like, I'll never show up unannounced. And, I have people that tell me that all the time. They're like, dude, you're the owner of the company. Like, you can just show up unannounced if you, I'm like, I could, but like, what if I show up unannounced and Chris is like, oh man, if I knew you were coming, I needed this. And like, my phone call could have prevented that. Like, I'm not trying to catch people. If I'm trying to catch people or I think you're sneaking and doing something, like, I don't want you to work here anyway. So if I do show up, I think it's fun, right? The only time the guys will get frustrated, they'll tell me sometimes, they're like, look, if you show up and you're going to start something, finish it or don't start it. Like, just hang out with us. Like, because they're like, you love to show up and be like, I'll go do this. And then 2 hours later, I'm like, shit, I got to call. Guys, I got to go. And they're like, well, you're halfway done with that. So they're like, if you're not going to finish it, don't do it. I'm like, all right, cool. So we have a very, very good culture relationship around here. Somewhat to a downfall as well. I think we're all very, very, very close. The people have shared, like, new people that join the team have shared before. It's extremely intimidating when you first join here because of how close everybody is until you get welcomed into that. And then it's almost tough when you don't fit in. It's almost like very hard to last here. And I don't love that. That's something I've always kind of worked on, that like, hey, maybe you don't want to be our best friend or hang out with us, but you still want to do phenomenal electrical work and you're a good person. Like, you should still be able to have just as good of an opportunity to have a career here.
No, that's interesting. Yeah, I'd imagine that's hard because it almost, if you're on the outside, right, when you're a new employee, it almost feels like a clique. And
It does, right? I mean, there's different guys hanging out. Like, every weekend, I bet you somebody in the company is doing something together, right? And so yeah, there's 47 different side group text messages and chats. And do you get in one of those? You're not, right? Like, but it's awesome. Like, I love that too. It's exactly what, if somebody was like, dream what you would want it to be one day, that's what it is. It's like the fun culture that, I could literally say, hey guys, Friday night, we're doing a barbecue at my house, wives, kids, friend, you name it, show. And we have like 100% participation at those things every single time, which is cool. So, and we have a blast doing that stuff. So I like it a lot.
Love it.
I got a question for you,
Yep.
Tom, just in regards to that. And, the thing that stuck out to me was the benefits that you offer your guys. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners go back and forth about what they can actually afford to do for their staff versus, what they think they can afford to do. And should I do this? Should I not? What have been some of the benefits to you, offering that maybe are overlooked? Like, for example, retention costs,
Yeah.
being one that comes to my mind. What are some of those benefits that maybe you didn't expect when you did offer that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny you said that, not to just like jump on what you said, but I think like the retention cost is probably the number one thing. Not just retention costs, but also like recruiting, right? So as the team begins to do it, like as we begin to grow and it's all just so natural of who we are. It, the word starts spreading around of, oh, hey, go meet with AstroWatt. Like this is what they offer. This is what they do. This is how they do it. I think the other thing it allows us there to do is to scale easier because we already know what those costs are and we have an understanding of what those are. So for any listeners out there who are like considering doing it, like today's the best day to do it, right? The more you wait, the more it's just going to get more expensive and more expensive and more expensive. Like, I don't know what our monthly health insurance cost is, but I could promise you if somebody came to me today and said, "Hey, Tom, we're going to start offering insurance to all the team and it costs X," I'd be like, no way am I paying that a month, right? But now what it is, it's just like, all right, cool. I mean, we did that with like, and we don't use the word employee here. Like I hate that word. So it's everybody's team members. But like team member number one was, full health, vision, dental insurance. We offer a 401k and a match, and we offer unlimited PTO, and all of those kind of things like mean the world to us. So, when you sit there and say like, what does it help with? Like it helps with recruiting, it helps with retention cost. We've been in business for 8 coming up. Let's throw out the first year, like coming up on 7 years. We've had one person retired and 2 people turned in their notice in that entire time we've ever been here. Like everybody else has been, told like let go or just wasn't a good fit. So I think that has a lot to do with it as well. And, I think you have to as a business owner, a lot of people love to, talk like, oh, my guys or they worked for me. Like, I hate that mentality. It's like, we're doing it for them. So one thing you have to be very careful with is like to not get caught up with that. Like when you decide to offer that to someone, it can never be like held over their head ever again. Right. So it can never be like, well, we offer you this and we give you this and we give you that. Like tough shit, man. Like you did that day one. Like that was your choice to offer that to everybody on the team. So don't ever let that become bigger than what the picture and the reason is why you're doing it. Don't do it to be like, oh, if I do this, they're going to do more for me. Like, nah, I don't want that. I want it. Hey, if I do this, it's going to attract the best of the best. And that's what we want.
Love it.
It's a good answer.
Yeah. I share your sentiment, Tom. I do the same thing. I don't like the word employee either. And
just
I'll
off
call
so wrong.
yeah, I call everyone that it's either coworker or teammate. Like we work together. Like, yeah, it's
my family's all in PA and they'll get mad. Like my brother will joke. I'll be like, oh yeah, we like one of the guys on the team. He's like, dude, my brother's, dude, what are you talking? Like, just say employee. I'm like, it's not like we don't use that word. I'm like, I literally had my wife go through and like, it's removed from every contract. Every time we get like an attorney to update anything, it's like employee. And we're like, well, go through and change all that. Like remove it from everything.
Love it. I got to ask you too about the unlimited PTO, and this is, to be fair, it's probably for my own benefit, but I'm sure if I have the question, other people have the question as well. So hopefully it's helpful to our listeners. But I come across unlimited PTO all the time.
Yep.
And we offer PTO, but we do not do unlimited. And the fear I've always had with that idea, although I love the idea of it though, is what do you do when someone abuses it? If all of a sudden someone's just not showing up to work and they're just taking PTO all the time, like, do you put guardrails in ahead of time, or how does that work for you guys?
Knock on wood, we haven't had it happen yet. Right. So, I guess I can't sit here and say, what could we do to prevent someone from abusing it? I think what I could, or how would I even react if somebody did? I try to be proactive in it hey, what do we need to do to prevent someone from doing it or preventing the wrong person getting on the team that would want to do it, right? So our unlimited PTO policy is, as long as we have a 2-week notice, it's approved, right? You tell us about it 2 weeks in advance, it's approved. I meet with everybody every year in the beginning of the year, as well as throughout the year, to understand like what your goals are. So if you give me these goals, then, and I'll ask you, like, I love when I'm like, hey, what's your goal this year? And they're like, I'm gonna sell 800,000. I'm like, cool, Michael, what do you have to sell a week to do that? I don't know. Oh, 800 divided by 52. I'm like, you're going to work 52 weeks this year? No, I'm like, okay, so let's reverse engineer it. Like, let's see, like, how many weeks are you going to work off? All right. So, we're off for 2 weeks for paid holidays. You're going to guaranteed take off 2 more weeks for something. So at a bare minimum, you're at 48. Like, do you think you're going to take off another 2 or so? Okay. So let's budget it based off of 46. Since I've started my business, every budget I run is based off of a 46 week annual year. So the additional 6 weeks is like built on top. So everything I do is built on how many weeks are there in a year? It's 46. The reality is, if you become that person that takes off 8 weeks and you're reaching your goals and your goals align with our goals, then hey, go for it. Like, you're performing, you're doing what you told us you wanted to do. You're meeting the expectations. And I think I haven't had to have the conversation, but I think if it started to become an issue, I might go with somebody and say, hey, like, I'd love to sit down and chat with you. You're missing a lot of time. You're taking it off. It's being approved. You're way behind your goals. Like, what do you like? Kind of fill me in on where you're at. And maybe they're going to be like, oh yeah, it's not working out. And that's why I'm taking off more time. Or, hey, you're right. Like, I'm stressed out and I'm dealing with X, Y, and Z at home. And so that's why I'm taking time off to do this. So I guess I don't know how to, I don't know how to directly answer the question of how to prevent it. Or what do you do if it's taken advantage of? I think it just, to have the unlimited PTO, like, you can't just sit there and say, hey, congrats guys, we have an unlimited PTO, and run your business. So like, it has to align with who you are. So it's got to align with like the culture, the values, the goals of who we are. So if that does, then when we decided to offer it and we implemented it 2.5 years ago, that was the only, to everything else was implemented from the beginning. The unlimited PTO was 2.5 years ago. And really, I'd never denied a PTO request prior to that. I just made it official at that point. I think as long as it aligns with everything, then it's not a concern, right? It's not, if you come to me and say, hey, I really want to work at AstroWatt and I want to take 8 weeks off a year and I do this and I do that, and I'm going to try to do this, and these are my goals, then awesome, man, go do it. Go live your dream. Like, have fun, take the 8 weeks off, travel. What do you need from me, to be successful here? And then great, this is what success looks like. Can you do it? And it'd be different if you had somebody who was like, hey, I want to take off every other Friday, right? Then it may be more of a conversation of like, hey, do we need to restructure? Do you only want to work 4 days a week? And we might have to look at, for you to work 4 days a week, it would be XYZ type thing. But yeah, we haven't had to get there for the uncomfortable conversation, because we try to just like spearhead that stuff ahead of time.
Yeah.
I hope that made sense. I know
it
didn't answer it directly.
Yeah, no, it definitely did. I mean, it's, as I'm thinking about what you said, it's like, and they have, whether it's a number of billable hour goal or a sales goal or whatever it is, if it's identified, and so long as they're hitting it and you know what your salary is for that person, you know how much that person's going to cost you, so long as they're hitting their goals, like, I guess it doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's studies behind it. I'm not a big guy in that stuff, but like, there's studies behind it that say, like, when you offer unlimited PTO, people take less time off.
Yeah, I've seen them.
I don't pay attention to that. And I think if you do it in that mindset, again, you're doing it to kind of like cheat the system. You're kind of like, oh, I'm going to offer this to make you feel bad about taking off. We've had guys who have shared before here, like, hey, I feel bad taking off. And I'm like, shit. I'm like, what? Like, can you tell me why? Oh, well, we're having a slower week. And I know that I'm performing well. And if I take off, it's going to impact this and this and this. And I'm glad they share that. Like, it's cool that they feel that, but I'm like, guys, that's not your problem. Like, go to the beach with your wife, right? Or else if you tell your wife, like, hey, I can't go to the beach because Tom really needs me, like, well, your wife's going to quickly get you away from Tom. And then I'm going to be
she's
like,
not gonna like Tom very much.
yeah, exactly. So I think it all kind of it all boils down to like, you just treat everybody as human beings, and, and the business has to make money and do what it needs to do. But, as long as we're growing and hitting our goals, I'm okay with that. I could at the end of the year be like, man, if everybody took off 2 less weeks, we could have done an extra 400 grand this year. But like, what kind of mindset is that to have,
Yeah, it's interesting you said that too about that study about people taking less time off, because we have one of our longest running employees, and for us, after your first year, you get a year PTO every year you're with us, up to 4 weeks of PTO, and she never uses it. And I actually had a conversation with her. I'm like, you have all this PTO and you're not using any of it. Like, you need to take some time off, buddy. You're gonna get burnt out. You're not gonna like it here. But
yeah. Yeah, and they need to do that. Like, my brother-in-law works here and he's the same way. I have to be like, Chris, right now, like, go grab the time off sheet, pick 3 days and go turn it into Clarissa right now. He's like, no, I'm good. I'm like, nope, do it right now. Pick it. I don't care. And then it's funny, like, sometimes he'll forget. I'm like, hey, you're off tomorrow. And he's like, no, I'm not. I'm like, no, yeah, you turned it in like 4 months ago. And he's like, I don't want to be off. I'm like, nope, take off. Like, you need off. Like, we planned for it. Like, you're going to get burned out. And, mental health is huge to us as well. So we offer a free therapist to everybody in the company. So, up to like 4 hours with the therapist per month per employee, team member. Sorry. And like, that stuff means everything to us, right? Like, and if we can help, and I think, 5 or 6 people here talk to her, and, it's all confidential, and I don't get an email that's like, oh, Tom talked for 5 hours. And this, like, I get an email that's like, hey, here's a bill for 17 hours last month. And, I trust her, but I tell her to do it that way because I don't want to know, like, it's not my business to know who's talking to you and why they're doing it.
Yeah.
But I love that we can offer that service. Right. And, that stuff's just very important to us because, like, everybody here, like, they're like kids to my wife and I. And we want to make sure you're happy, right? And, I've had guys tell me that before, like, dude, sometimes we'll come to work in like a bad mood and like you call it out like that. And I'm like, I know. And they're like, it's fucking annoying. I'm like, all right, sorry. And they're like, dude, we can like never just show up in a bad mood. You like pull it out of us and you like call us out on it and meet. And I'm like, sorry, that's just like, I'm not saying you can't come to work in a bad mood, but as close as we are, if Derek or Michael came in one day and you were down, like, somebody's going to know it. And I think it's kind of cool to like have people to lean on, I mean, a lot of these people here spend more time with each other than we do with our spouses and our girlfriends, significant others, we spend a lot of time together.
yeah.
So
Tom,
before I get that jump, guys, I got one more question for you, Tom, that I want to ask, and it goes back to your earlier days. So obviously you've had quite the journey and have progressed along the path from working in the warehouse to apprentice. And so for our younger listeners, what are some of the things that you did maybe in your early days that set you apart from the rest of the team or group? And, whether your employer saw something in you that wanted him to move you down the apprentice path. How did that all start? And what were some of those things you did in the early days?
Yeah. And you're talking early days, like pre-starting my own business, just like being in the trade.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, Derek, it sounds so like, generic to say, but I think it started with my childhood. Anything I've ever done, I've committed to doing. Right. So, I joke about, like, I went to high school for 4 years and never missed a day of school in 4 straight years. Was never sick, never took off, never called out. And it just like wasn't an option for me. So I think the biggest thing was just like always, always, always ask questions, right? When you ask questions, it shows that you care and it shows that you learn. And I tell everybody here too, like, you can call me whenever you want if you have a question related to work. Like, whenever you want, call me. And I used to do that, right? So I would show up if work started at 7:00, like I was there by 6:30 at the latest every single day. I was always willing to help clean up at the end of the day. I was always willing to chat with people. And I think in the trades, because that's all I can really speak about, I can't speak other industries. In the trades, it's so, it doesn't, you don't need like, hey, if you don't have the degree, if you don't have this, if you don't have this, like, you can become so much more by just like standing out as that individual that's willing to do it. And that was my entire focus. It was never like get to the top. It was just like, I'm going to show up. I'm going to be a great person. I'm going to work hard every single day. I'm going to communicate. I'm going to ask questions. I'm not going to screw around, and I'm going to do really good work. And I think like that's what's so cool about the trades is like, we have a guy here that started 4 or 5 years ago. He's been with us. And when he hired him, it was right around COVID. When we hired him, he was an apprentice. He had knew nothing, was making $13 an hour is what we were paying him. Last year, he made over $100,000 a year here. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I just love about the trades. And I think that was just me. Like, everything I get into is competitive, not against anybody else, but just like for the situation. Like, everything I do, there's a reason behind why I do it. So if you don't understand the reason, don't go do it. Like, ask the question. If your boss comes up to you and says, hey, Derek, go put those 8 outlets in and come get me whenever I'm done, whenever you're done, right? Like, okay, hey, no worries. Happy to do that. Like, and then I'm coming back to get you. Like, do you mind just explaining why? Well, I don't want to just tell you, well, hey, if there's other things you want me to do, just tell me. Oh, are you okay? Yeah, go do those 8, go into that room, do this, do that. Okay. All right, perfect. That works. Let me go ahead and do that. Right. And when you do that kind of stuff, you'll stand out a little bit more. Right. Don't be afraid to get in the trenches with everybody else. Don't just stand around. If and I'm talking trades here for a minute. If a supply truck shows up, start unloading it. If you're working with a group and Derek and Michael are finishing up the job and there's stuff laying around, put it all away so that when Derek and Michael stop turning their last wrench, everything's cleaned up and it's like, cool, we're done. So I think those are the things. I think in the early days, it's like, show up with a purpose. Just the home services and the trades are so special that if you have the right mindset to show up every day, be an honest person and be a hard worker, there's nothing that can get in your way from being successful. Absolutely nothing. Corporate America, plenty of things could get in your way, right? Oh, you don't have the degree to move up here. You don't have enough hours to do that. You don't have enough this. It's like, screw that, right? You show up every day committed, willing to work hard, be honest, and show up like, as a team player, nothing will stop you from being able to accomplish whatever you want to do. And I think that's the key when it comes to home services. And hopefully if there's any young listeners out there, or even people that just, want to make a switch and get into the home services, like, that's what it's all about. Like, be a good person, be honest, show up, work hard, ask a lot of questions. It's not that hard, but a lot of people struggle with it.
Yeah, for sure.
So, speaking of backing up a little bit, one thing that I flagged in my mind here was when you guys launched, you got jumped there, D?
Yeah.
All right.
Man.
Thank
See
you.
what you got.
Thank
Tom.
you. Yeah, be safe out there today.
You too.
Thanks, buddy.
When you guys first launched, I think you'd said you were kind of doing everything, anything, right? Like commercial, didn't matter. It was like, yep, we'll say yes to it, which my belief always is when you're a new business, like you kind of have to do that. If someone wants to pay you money to do something, like absolutely the answer is yes, right? Even if I don't know how to do it yet, right? I'm going to figure it out. But I am curious because I do think that any business that lasts long enough has to make the decision at some point in time of who are we, right? Like what is it that we do really well, and do we want to keep doing all of these different things, which obviously breeds chaos and stress and can have a negative effect on your team members? I'd love to hear about what that looked like for you when why did you finally say, hey, we need to change who we are and what we do a little bit here, and what it was that kind of made you go in the direction that you went in.
Hey, everybody, just taking a quick break to talk to you about one of our sponsors, Curtis Lumber. Curtis Lumber is the professional's choice for home improvement. From windows and doors, roofing and siding, decks and building packages, to floors and more, trust the pros at Curtis Lumber for expert advice and daily delivery. For locations, visit curtislumber.com. That's curtislumber.com.
Why did you finally say, hey, we need to change who we are and what we do a little bit here, and what it was that kind of made you go in the direction that you went in?
Yeah. So, for listeners that are sitting out there right now, they could be like, oh, this AstroWatt company, I mean, it sounds amazing. They think they're the best, like they got it like all figured out. Like we don't, right? And let me tell you, we still don't, right? Are you familiar with like the EOS business model at all?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We talk about it all the time.
So I'm about the most visionary human being you'll ever meet and about as far from being an integrator as possible. So when I started, it was like, I can constantly see this giant vision. Let's just go. Yep. Somebody says yes, 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 yes. I'll keep doing it. So, a couple years ago, met somebody through some people and started meeting with this guy. And he was like home services, like his specialty was like systems and processes. Like he's very, very good at that. So we agreed to kind of have him start coming to work here, kind of on like back end of systems and processes. Shortly after, he and I ended up partnering together. I like sold him, a percent, like I honestly, I gave him 50% of the company, or sold him for a small amount, 50% of the company, which ended up becoming a big thing. And long story short, about 2.5 years ago, we split off, and and it was an ugly situation. And I, at the time, whenever I decided to move on from him, it was like, we're not seeing eye to eye. We're not seeing eye to eye. And, looking back on it now, I'm like, he helped us so much become who we are. Like, and he really, really did. So I guess the first thing I would say, at the time, we had like a bunch of random quotes around our office, and he put a quote above my desk, and we were picking different quotes to pick. And then he had like had them all made. And we put this quote above my desk that said, "You grow by saying no." And I looked at that like every day. And my problem was we would get together and we'd say, okay, hey, we're not doing any commercial job over $60,000. Like it's just, we're not prepared for it. And somebody would, hey, Tom, I got this job. They need this thing done. They need this done. It's, if you want it, it's probably $100,000. Like it's yours. I'm like, yep, we'll take it. And he's like, Tom, remember? And I was like, well, hey, like it's money, dude. We'll figure it out. And so I think when you say, what was the number one thing? I think it was profitability. I quickly realized when we were bouncing around and doing everything, we couldn't be as profitable because we didn't have a scalable business that had systems and processes in place that were strictly scalable, that we knew we could control and hire the right team members to put into these roles to make this thing become successful. Like today, you could say, hey, Tom, what does it look like to be $20 million? And I can tell you exactly how many techs, exactly how many leads, exactly how many installers, sales, and boom, just like that. That's what 20 million is. Now it sounds easy. It takes a lot to go get all of that.
Yeah.
Back then we did it like it was, as we were doing all of this, we started. So I think the big eye opening wasn't just profitability, but it was some of these contract jobs that, as we'd sit there and go through all these things, and Paul would say, hey, Tom, can I show you something? I'd be like, sure. He's like, look, we spent, 4 days, 2 guys on this entire job for this kitchen remodel. And, this is what it cost us. And then we went and changed this panel for this customer over here. We were there for 6 hours and we made more money over here. And I was like, holy cow, like, are you kidding me? So as we started to dial that in, we quickly identified like, what are our like top strengths? And we knew like our culture was huge. Our our customer service, our team, and all that kind of stuff. And we said, so what does that have the biggest impact on? And we were like, homeowners. Contractors don't care as much about that. Like we used to have a sign when you walk into our office that said, we're a customer service company that hires awesome electricians. Because that's what we focus on so much is customer service. So at that time, we started to, lose money on these bigger jobs and, but hey, it's keeping us busy for 5 days and we can put 3 guys on it. And then, payroll comes around and we're like, oh, where'd all the money go? That's when we decided to get the clear image of like, we want to go residential, 100% service focused. Let's start doing that. So it was like the end of 2021 when we started to switch that. 2022, we started making that happen. That's when we pulled the trigger on rebranding and then went live with the rebrand in 2023.
And which, by the way, I love your brand. I was checking out your website earlier, looking through everything. It's like, it's fun, and it's well done. So whoever your branding company was, kudos to those guys. They did an amazing job.
They're awesome. Yeah. Thank you. I was very happy with it. I was, I'm not pleased often with like that kind of stuff. Like, we'll have companies that'll be like, hey, Tom, we redid your website. Boom, here it is. And I'm like, oh, that sucks. Right. And it was like, the company who's done our website right now, Rival Digital, they're phenomenal. And I told them that the first day that they showed us our website, I was like, honestly, I'm telling you guys right now, this is the first time I've seen 20 websites. It's the first time I've been in this industry where I looked at a website and I was like, boom, you nailed it. Like to a T, looks awesome. Yeah. So we love our brand and we build off of it. And it's, the brand's much bigger than just what our logo is,
If I go to a baseball game in Apex, North Carolina, am I going to see a guy running around in what's the mascot's name?
His name's Watson.
Watson, that's right. Yeah.
So not yet. It's funny. We thought about we've had several quotes. First of all, you'd be stunned how expensive some of those ski costumes are. And then like I'm a much bigger guy, right? Like I'm like 6'5", and so then it's like, all right, well, do we buy one that will fit Tom or do we buy one that fits other people or who do it? So we haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. We do the local like Apex Christmas parade every year. And we keep saying like, we should really have the mascot by the time the Christmas parade comes around. So
yeah, that's fun. That's a lot of fun. All right. Last question for you, Tom. And I really appreciate the time that you've been spending with us here.
Thank you.
If someone's thinking about the trades, or maybe they're in the trades and they're thinking about starting their own business, what is one piece of advice that you would give them? If you were going to only say one.
If you're okay with it, I'm going to take it 2 ways, right? Because I'm going to take join the trades one way or start your own business the other way.
Okay.
Start your own business. If you choose to do that, the one piece of advice I will say is like, what is your differentiator fact? Like, what is that one thing about you that you're bringing that you can impact the business and services that you're providing? And you have to identify that as an individual. So like, if you're going to go start like, and I'll answer the trade one in a second, but if like, I'm going to go start a business, identify like, what is that thing? What's that like number one wow factor that Michael has, that Tom has, that you have, and then never forget that. Never, ever, ever let anybody take that away from you because that's in your gut at all times. No matter how big your team is, how much your team loves you, trusts you, they're never going to be able to do it the same way you do. Identify what that it factor is and focus on it and build that business around that.
And what we're saying is we're not saying like your business is one thing. So it's not like a gimmicky thing. This isn't like quality or service, like a lot of businesses do. This is personally about you, the business owner.
Personally about you as the business owner. Like I have like, let's use an example. Like maybe that thing about Michael is like, I have the ability to get things done no matter what happens, no matter what chaos is thrown at me. Like when things become chaotic, I can handle it, right? Or I have that ability at any given time to be able to connect with the human being and focus on that and believe in the positive and create that connection. Because if you do that, you're going to have to start. And the reason I say that, Michael, is because you're going to have to start that business solo. Like 99 out of 100 business owners are in the home services are coming into it, like turning wrenches themselves to get there. Very rarely is it like, hey, I'm going to go start a home service business. I know nothing and I'm going to go hire 4 people tomorrow. Right. So by you having that, you're going to start teaching that to everybody else. So, if your number one strength is your ability to, and it may sound like cliche, like your ability to communicate with homeowners and like, then you're going to teach that to everybody. That's going to be the number one thing that you can teach. So identify what that is. And at the same time, understand what your weaknesses are.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
And then if you're going to get into the trades, I think, just because I hear this so much and I felt this a little bit myself, if you're going to get into the trades, do not allow like the outside noise to make you feel embarrassed. We have a guy that works here who, man, he's 24. He's a freaking rock star. He's gonna sell $2 million this year. Has bought him and his wife their first house, has bought his wife his dream car, bought himself his dream truck, does what he wants to do, like not in a cocky way or anything, just like loves life. But he went to a customer's house one time and he was out there and was meeting with the lady, and this was like 2 years ago, and it turned out to be like the mom of a kid he went to high school with, and all the kids were like at home and hanging out, and he was down in the crawl space doing stuff, and they were all making fun of it. Like, oh, look at what he's doing. Oh, he's crawling around a crawl space. Like, and they were like, as he was moving, they were like stomping on the ground, and it like tore him down. And he's like a son to me. So like, I hated that. It knocked him down so much because he was so embarrassed about it. And I was like, dude, while you're doing that, they're hanging out at mommy's house on a Wednesday afternoon. Like, think about that. And like, when you're going home in your own house and pulling into your own garage, they're hanging out in mommy's basement. And like, so my thing to like, if you want to get into the trades, like do it because you care, and like, don't allow that outside noise to affect you. Like, don't allow people to tell you that like, oh, you're going to be a tradesperson, you're going to be dirty. You're going to, like, don't let anyone look at you differently, because I've been doing it for 20 plus years and I felt that. Like I used to live that myself. Like, my wife was in corporate America for a long time, and she'd call me and be like, hey, we're all going to a happy hour. Do you want to come? And I'm like, nope. And she's like, why? And I was like, no, I'm good. And then it was like, finally, she's like, what? And I was like, babe, I have no interest in showing up there like dirty in my dirty shirt, my Carhartt pants, while everybody's wearing suits and stuff. And everybody's like, oh, here's that Tom guy. And she's like, Tom, she's like, come on. Like, but it's real. Like, it's a thing out there. Right. And it's the coolest, most respectful, close group organization within the home service industry that you'll find in the entire country. Like the fact that you and I can jump on this together and connect like that. The fact that you can go on Facebook and see how many different people are friends with different people, and home service business owners are out there willing to share advice and things for free. Just so I would say, if you're willing to do it and trust your gut, and just don't listen to that outside noise. So many people give up on it because of that. They're afraid that like, I'm not going to go take a job making $14 an hour and be an apprentice and be this and dig a ditch or any of that kind of stuff. Like, have a plan, go do it, and watch how you can blow right. You're going to be college debt free, making $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
If make 200. I mean, I know technicians that are making $300,000 or $400,000 a year.
Yeah. I know in our area. Yeah, and I know in our area, HVAC techs are making 150 grand a year, like, no problem. And it's funny that you brought that up too, because we do talk about it quite often on the show. And it was when we first launched a few years ago, it was kind of I don't want to say a driving factor, but kind of helping to redefine that stigma that like we grew up with, like whether it was going to BOCES, like that was like a bad thing, and and like going into the trades was like what you did because you couldn't get into college. And now it's like, I definitely think that sentiment is starting to turn. I don't know anyone that's in the trades that's broke. And I know a lot of college educated people that are broke. So like, it's I definitely think that's turning around. So sorry for your team member that went through that, but I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's grown from it. It's awesome. And I try to give him the advice all the time. I'm like, when you purchase things and you buy things, I'm like, just make sure you're doing it for you. Like, don't do it for other people.
Yeah.
Like, don't go do that to put the image on that, like, oh, look at my truck I have because I can do that. Like, buy it because you want it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
but it's cool. I bet you, I'm not even kidding you. In the last month and a half, I've had at least half a dozen people I know reach out to me of like, hey, my kid's thinking of finishing, graduating high school soon, not sure what they want to do. He'd love to pick your brain. Like my cousin just reached out and was like, hey, my son's like, now has always been all about college. Now he's thinking he doesn't want to get in college and wants to go into home services. Like would love to chat with you. Like I love that. Like it's more and more is coming up.
Yeah.
You
I know. Listen, I hope none of my kids go to college and they all go into the trades.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Save me a lot of money.
Yeah. And it's like, one of the things I was thinking about when I was looking through your website was some of the services that you guys offer were like just going in and outlet repair, right? And it's one of the wildest things. And to me, because I mean, we growing up, like, we all kind of learn how to do that stuff, but like, I shame on us. We didn't do a good job teaching our kids. And there's just so many people that don't know how to change an outlet. Right. And that's just one little thing inside a vast array of services that, is encompassed by the trades. And it's like the value of those skills becomes so huge, not just now, but even 5 or 10 years from now, when no one knows how to fix anything except for that select few that are in the trades. I mean, at that point, you kind of become royalty. You
really do.
Yeah, you got dirt kicked on you for years, but now you're royalty.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, I love it. They allow us to be in business, but I mean, yeah, it's sometimes when people are like, "Oh, I need a switch installed," and I'm like, "We can do that for you, but like, you don't know how to install that switch." Like, but they don't, right? They don't, or their time is more important, and like that's why we exist. And and I tell people all the time, like, don't get upset when somebody's like, there's no way I'm paying you for that. I can do that myself. Like, you are right. You 100% can. But also, like, you called us out here. Like, I didn't knock on your door and say, hey, can I change your 4 recessed lights for you? Like, our price is our price. You can say yes. You can say no. Just be respectful,
Yeah.
So,
Tom, thanks so much, man. I really appreciate you coming on the show. I've loved the conversations. A lot of great stuff. And if people want to learn more about AstroWatt, if they want to reach out to you, ask questions, anything like that, how do they get a hold of you guys?
Yeah, you can follow us on social media, right? So we're on all the social media handles, right? You can also go to our website, which is callastrowatt.com. From there, you can contact us if you want to talk to me or you have questions. If you go on the website and fill it out and share your thoughts and ask for me to call you, I'll give you a call, right? Like, I'll call anybody and give them my personal number. And, if I can ever help, I'll do it. And if you're ever thinking of getting in the trades or in the trades, you want to do it and you want to come visit us, you're more than welcome to do it. Come spend a day with us, a couple hours with us. We'll treat you to breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever whatever you want, and kind of show you the ropes. And if we can help you, we'd be happy to do so.
Love it. Hey, I got to ask one last quick question. Are you gonna franchise this thing? Because it look like you got a great brand, the name.
No.
Like,
I don't think we'll ever go that route.
okay.
Maybe add additional services at some point, but I don't think we'll ever franchise it. Like, a goal of mine would maybe be like long term, do some sort of like ESOP to be able to like sell the business back to the team themselves to allow everybody to be shareholders and things like that. That would be super cool for me to do. But yeah, I don't have any interest in pulling the whole franchise style.
All right, fair enough. Just figured that out.
Awesome, bud. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
And that wraps up another episode of Blue Collar Startup. A big thank you to our sponsors, 5 Towers Media, Daigle Cleaning Systems, Daigle Fire Solutions, The Michaels Group, Martin Electric, MLB Construction, Bonaccio Construction, Peoplease, and Catamount Consulting for making this podcast possible. And thank you for tuning in. If you learned something or felt inspired, connect with us on our website at bluecollarstartup.io or email us at hardhat.bcsu@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your questions and topic ideas. Help us spread the word by sharing the show and following us on social media for updates. Until next time, keep on building, keep on dreaming, and keep hustling like your future depends on it.